defense, but just what are your thoughts on Larry and Rodgers does that?
Very simply put, everything. I mean, like you said, when you go up against guys that have played this long in this league and had the success that he's had, they've seen pretty much everything. They've encountered everything. They've got answers in their arsenal for everything he does personally, and that's why guys like that sustain for this long in this league. So he's a threat, obviously, with his arm, with his feet. He's still a threat with his feet, and obviously with his mind. You got to play the mental game with him. All 11 of us do.
Sean, how did you evaluate how you guys played as a unit on Sunday? Obviously, they scored points, but a lot of short fields.
Yeah, very similar to kind of what I've told you guys. We put on the tape, and regardless of the situation, like you said, short field, that's really irrespective of what we control. We got to make sure we try to do our best to keep points off the board, try to get 3 and outs, try to get takeaways. And so that's what we do. We try to evaluate there, and they had a few points, like you said, and some of them were short fields, but we had opportunities, and that's what we got to get evaluated on. When we get opportunities to get these guys to 3rd down or 4th down on that one, we got to try to strain to get off the field there, and try to create some momentum shifts for our offense and for our team.
How do you win the mental game with Aaron Rodgers? Even Urlacher had trouble with that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a win. I think it's like playing it, and you kind of just keep playing the chess game with them. From all 11 and 12, including myself, the guys on the field and then myself, and you got to keep doing it, and you got to strain mentally, through that over the course of the game.
Is there a way to use his strength against him? Knowing if you're a sharp guy and you know what he does, can you kind of play chess with him and anticipate that?
Yeah, you try.
The game.
I think that's part of the chess match. You try to play to our strengths, play to his weaknesses, and try to bait some things as best you can. Obviously. He's seen all those things, over the course of his career. So it's just kind of keep playing it, and you keep keeping some stress on him, just forcing him to think, forcing him to think longer than he would normally like to.
Is the hope that with his toe injury that he can't make as many off-schedule plays? Because that's where I think in the history of the rivalry, that's where he's really hurt the Bears from.
That's right. Yeah, my time here for sure. The off-schedule plays. Show up, but quite honestly, they've showed up over the last month, also on tape. So, no, I don't think on tape it doesn't seem like it's limiting him much in terms of the way he wants to play the game, the way he wants to throw the ball, where he wants to get it, when he can escape the pocket, and he's still making plays that way. So, we're preparing for the same Aaron Rodgers that we've been preparing for a long time.
Is it possible to play out of character against him because he knows you so well? Like over the years, the Bears have not blitzed a lot, and blitzing usually doesn't work against him. But is there any way to throw something? How do you throw something at him that he hasn't seen? Do you have to play out of character to do that?
Yeah, it's similar to every game. We got to play to our strengths and what we think we can do best, and try to manage what we think they do best, and try to limit their opportunities. And so, however we do, we're not here to reinvent the wheel and reinvent a whole new defense. We got a lot of time invested in our defense, and we thought we played them pretty good the last time we played them. It wasn't good enough, and we know where we fell short, but we're going to build off that and try to create some different matchups and different issues that we feel can be more favorable in our advantage.
What would a Keenan's return mean on the field, but also just kind of emotionally?
Yeah, I think anytime you get a guy that's got a lot of demonstrated performance, and a veteran like that, it always helps, bring some morale up and bring some juice. But quite frankly, he's enduring through his ailments, and our guys have played with good energy and good juice. So anytime you get anybody back from injury, it just adds a little bit. But I think I like where our guys are also over the last month, and so we're going to continue to build off that culture that we're trying to build.
So on Kyler's run into the end zone, when Jalen was coming in from the end zone, it looked like he kind of pulled up and avoided contact. But then I'm watching Monday night, and Josh Allen's reaching for the 1st down marker near the out of bounds, and they call it a late hit on the Patriots, even though he's like literally in bounds. So I guess my question is, how hard is that getting for these guys in situations where the quarterbacks are actually turning into runners? And did you go over that play with Jalen? Like, what did you think about how he handled that?
Yeah, I think we go over all the plays with all our players, and we watch all 11 and make sure every person's getting coached on all those plays. And so on that one, I thought it's easy for me to stop and pause the tape and say, hey, you could have, should have done this and all that stuff. That's an easy thing for me to do, and I do it, and you fall into that trap. But I thought, and he knows, I thought he could have taken a shot. Would that have resulted in penalty? Your guess is as good as mine. Based on the history that you just talked about with Josh Allen and all that. And then didn't some college game have one of these fake slides show up last week too? I mean, so to your point, it's not easy to make those decisions, but we got to coach through that, and we got to make the right decisions. And we got to be okay if a guy's playing full speed and makes a split-second decision and it doesn't go in our favor. That's part of the cost of doing business. And so, and I think our guys understand that. They got to make those split-second decisions, and we want to be physical. And when we got a chance to keep anybody out of the end zone, we want to take our shot to keep our guys out of the end zone. Sean Gibson had one. On that run where he took his shot in the end zone. The last game versus the Packers, Eddie Jackson had one. Went on Aaron's scramble where he went and took his shot, it went in for a scramble touchdown. But so I think we're doing it, and I think Jalen thinks that he could have probably taken a shot there. But again, it's easy off the tape when you pause and don't pause.
This might be hard to answer. Do you think it's starting to matter though, like mentality-wise, whether it's a running back? Like it might be easier for Tashawn to take that shot because it's a running back.
Yeah, right.
It's a quarterback. Even though he's become a runner, he's a quarterback. Is that starting to seep into these guys' minds?
I don't know, because some of the rules, when the quarterback breaks the pocket, he becomes a runner. So there's some different rules that they lose some protections. Obviously, the head and neck area, we don't teach that, and nor do we want to target in those areas anyways, and even launch with our head. But so, no, when the guys are runners, some of their protections get taken off, and there's a reality I think that you're getting to that some of those guys still have protections when they're runners, but that's part of this. That's part of this game. And that's part of the NFL that we're in now. And as a defensive coach, you got to coach through that.
Sean, you've talked quite a bit in the past year since you became defensive coordinator about guys who have influenced you scheme-wise. But I'm curious which bosses you've had or leaders you've been around that you've taken things from as far as just how they handle everything else about their job, how they handle leading and dealing with players and personal issues, being a boss themselves and having subordinates, things like that. What have you taken from that, and how has this year gone for you?
Yeah. So I would say, obviously, scheme-wise, like you said, I've got a few influences there that we try to take it into consideration. But leadership-wise, I've probably taken things from everybody I've been around. I try to be really observant and really reflective in my roles, various roles I've been in, and I've had some roles outside of football. As a professor and things like that I've been around some different types of leaders also. And leadership to me comes down to be able to provide vision and guidance and a structure for the people that you're leading. And whether it's in football or not in football, I think there's certain ways to do that, and I try to model myself that way. And the first way is to model that behavior, and I try to do that. And so a lot of those influences, obviously you can talk about the football influences starting, when I got my first job in coaching with Al Golden. I had a long time with him. And then moving forward, obviously Vic Fangio, Mel Tucker, had shown me some ways of the way he leads in a room, either through adversity or not. So a lot of those guys have had some impact on me. And then outside of football, I think you can learn a lot from different leaders. There's two academic people, I'll give you this as an aside story, that had impacted me through my academic studies and in my leadership studies. One was Peter Diamandopoulos at Boston University. He's an interesting Google because he had some controversy as the president of Adelphi University, and he was one of my philosophy professors. And I got a good relationship with him, but it was interesting to see how he presented himself, and then obviously the adversity that he had dealt with as a president of a university. And the other one is somewhat controversial, not really, in higher ed, is a good thinker in higher ed, is Arthur Levine, who was the president of Teachers College when I was there, and now I think is the president of the Woodrow Wilson Foundation, or had been there. But again, similarly, another vocal person who had some opinions on higher ed, but was ironically the president of a higher ed institution. So you get a lot of different lessons from a lot of different people in leadership, and I try to take a lot of those lessons and apply them appropriately.
The connection that you're making, obviously I'm not familiar with the two guys that you mentioned. Is the connection you're making just that those guys had been extremely successful and gotten toward the top of their field, but were still being critical of the field and not
Well, no, they're different, yeah, no, I mean, the connection is really, the styles of leadership, that they were embodying at their institutions, and their backstories are a little bit different because they had different, roles and, different ways to lead, in those institutions. I mean, the other one is, I was a student at Boston University when John Silber was the president there. And, in the Midwest, you guys probably don't know many of those guys on the East Coast, but he was another controversial figure. But he's a leader of a higher ed institution. He ran for governor in the state of Massachusetts for a while. But it was very interesting to see how his leadership philosophy kind of permeated through the faculty and the staff at Boston University, and then eventually, obviously, it gets to the students. So the connection is really just the different styles and the different situations and how people kind of earn their roles in those positions, and then how they present themselves and how they decide to manage various sizes of organizations.
I have one more question on that line, if you don't mind. There's the inside the building stuff for you, but there's also now, this is your first time in your career being like the face and voice of your half of the ball,
Yeah.
defense, and talking to the media every week. What has been your philosophy on representing that side of the ball and representing all those players publicly in every aspect, all the way down to when someone misses a tackle or blows a coverage, you're going to be the one answering for it every
Yeah,
week.
and that's okay. I think that comes with the territory of a leader, right? You're gonna take all the positives whenever they come, and you're gonna take all the negatives and the lumps with it. And it's my job as a leader to stand up here and be as forthright and honest as I can, with you guys, and obviously with my players, most importantly, and present a certain plan for them and provide the roadmap for them of how we want to achieve things. And I got to try to stay true to that as much as I can. And I think our players feel that. I think they know the type of accountability I expect of them. I think they know the standards that we're trying to set here and uphold. And they know that irregardless of any situation or circumstance, they're going to get a consistent and detailed approach from me. And it's going to be a teaching-centered approach, and that we're going to really try to excel at a lot of different things because we're going to try to be more prepared and excel at some details.
Sean, Eddie played 14 snaps. Even Tonga played more. Is that an indication that he's just not as effective, or he's not healthy, or what was the deal with?
No, I didn't know the exact number, but no, I don't think so. I think Eddie's been playing pretty good for us. It's just part of the rotation. I think that game we had 54, 56 snaps total. So you got 5 guys or 6 guys up, and you're rotating them, and you end up playing a little bit more nickel than base. And so there's different roles and different situations where different guys go in. So I think that's just a function of how a game plays.
Tonga equally effective as Goldman?
Based on the situation, he can be, and he has been. But it's easy to go after the game and say, well, this guy should have been in here. And a team like that really doesn't let you substitute. So you got to account for that too, is when you look at the reps and who's getting in the game.